Hey gangsters, this is Phreak, bringing you an audio commentary for WCReplays.com. It is copyrighted by the site, so don't steal it. This is an Orc vs. Night Elf matchup between Grubby and Winners. Twisted Meadows is... It's not a very huge map. It doesn't take all that long to get across the map, but it's certainly larger than Echo Isles, Turtle Rock, Secret Valley, maps like that. So it's not a small map per se. It's kind of a medium map, and it's not as big as Lost Temple or Knollwood, so you know it's not huge. But being that's kind of how the map's constructed, that it's fairly large, is one of the reasons that Talons aren't very amazing on it, because Talons are not quick units at all, but Huntresses and Dryads are, and Demon Hunters and Keepers of the Grove are pretty quick as well. And having faster units is generally really useful, because it will allow you to keep up with the harassment that an Orc will do. It'll help you deal with Blade Masters and such. Additionally, there are lots of creeps in this map that are rock golems. Basically, any mercenary camp, any lab has a rock golem, and the labs especially are one of the most important creep camps on the map. All four of them, really, they are. And if you're not able to creep those out, you not only you miss out on experience, just because they're hard to creep out, but you miss out on where most of the +2 tomes get dropped, and you miss out on some of the best items in the game. Whereas at the Goblin Merchant camps, they're very exposed. You can easily be creep-jacked, so it's very dangerous stuff. Additionally, if you go with a Talon build, you start out with archers, Ancient War creeping is doable, but it's difficult. It's very open to getting harassed unless you have a very dedicated build to where you get the Ancient War up extremely quickly and you start creeping the camp out before your DH shows up. You have a high risk of getting creep-jacked. So, primarily due to map size reasons, people often go Huntress build on this map. So, I've certainly given you enough time to get to the 1 minute and 15 second mark, so let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. So 1 minute 18, 19, 1 minute 20, 121, 122, etc. Okay. So we see pretty typical builds from both players so far. Altar, Burrow, Barracks from Grubby, and a simple Altar, Moonwell, and then Money Stack for Winners, as he's waiting for 160 lumber so that he can build the Hunter's Hall, the Ancient War, and then later on the Moonwell. We're going to see that happen right about now, unless he actually builds a Moonwell along with the other two buildings, which I believe is not the case. Yeah, so there goes the Hunter's Hall, and the building positioning, the Moonwell first. So yeah, I guess he is building the Moonwell initially. The building placement, by the way, is extremely particular. It's there's a reason why he's building the buildings where he is, and it is to allow him to build these lores behind the lines, basically, behind of where, behind, basically, period. You can see that behind this Moonwell to the bottom left, there's easily enough room for a lore, and I believe to the left of this Moonwell / Ancient of War, there is room for a lore as well, and it will allow him to go double lore and do all that kind of fun stuff. So you see Winners has grabbed Dust, and he actually, unfortunately, wakes up the creeps, which I guess doesn't really matter too much. It actually makes it a little bit more difficult for Grubby, but he's going to pick up the circlet and he's going to go for those trolls now. Just waits for the item to come up, and then there he goes. And Winners is going to go off for the other merchant camp, because he assumes that's what Grubby will creep. And this is a meta game to how this game plays out. Is that simply, you don't know which one your opponent's going to creep because he's invisible, and you just hope you know which one. Sorry for that. And, there's nothing else to say except you try to guess and hope. And the Orc will generally have the advantage because they will windwalk, at roughly mid-map, and they will know where the Demon Hunter is and be like, oh, okay, you're going to the other camp, let me creep this one out. And there's not much to say for that, except typically as a Demon Hunter you will be on the losing end of this. If you manage to guess right where your opponent's coming, you have Dust and Mana Burn, and you can actually force your opponent away. The creep camp is so close initially, it's so difficult, I guess, that the Blade Master had like 100-something hit points when he was done with it, and that's with the circlet, and after getting healed a little bit by the Tome of Knowledge. And what can you say to that, except if the Demon Hunter showed up, he probably could have forced him out of the camp and whatnot. So Winners is doing a very specific build right now. He's obviously expanding right away. And now what Grubby is going to try to be doing is, he notices the fast Demon Hunter harass, and he I don't know if he's got it with a PN. I didn't really check on that, but I think he can assume Huntresses anyway, just because of the fact that he did an Ancient War creep, and there's a Demon Hunter harassing right away that usually leads to it being Huntresses and not Archers. So his grunts are running around. They're trying to figure out, I guess, partially where the Demon Hunter is, maybe where the Huntresses are. But now he just kind of loops around, and he's going to go for the creep camp. And this is just one of the main things that Orc do, is that they creep for items. And you notice what Winters did is he had the Huntress hidden at one of the camps he assumed Grubby might creep. Now it actually ended up seeing where Grubby was going to, and it led him to a creep shack. Now what Grubby did right there is he windwalked to steal the creep away from the mana burn, and he did it just in time. Now mana burn will actually remove mana, and then a couple tenths of a second later actually deal the damage. And so the Ogre Magi lost mana but did not take the 50 damage. He actually got killed by the windwalk strike before that, and that's just simply an individual skill sort of thing. Grubby managed to windwalk strike it before anything happened, and it worked really well for him. And now he's also got boots, which means he can chase down this hunt very easily. And Winters makes a mistake here in letting the hunt fight for a while. And you're going to see that it gets chopped down very low. As he tries to run it south, he actually runs it right in front of the grunt, and it just gets chopped down. And that's just poor play from Winters. He could have run it a different direction. He could have simply not had it tank the Blade Master for a while. And that's really going to hurt him now, because the Blade Master is now level 2, gave him enough mana for an extra Windwalk. And you notice that Grubby's using the Windwalks right away, because listen, a Demon Hunter will mana burn you. He will do it. You might as well, instead of losing 50 mana and then summarily 35 hit points as well, how about let's use up all our mana and deal 40 bonus damage. Now it'll get reduced by armor by 22%, so instead it'll be doing something like 32 damage, or 31.8, as I believe the numbers would actually work out to. But still, it's bonus damage that you're doing, almost exactly as much as a mana burn would have done to you, but you're actually doing damage and not getting destroyed that way. So, useful stuff. So, Blade Master, of course, carrying salves with him at all times, has now healed himself again after this battle. One of the good things about having boots of speed is you can always outrun your opponent trying to chase you. Winters, of course, now has that expansion going along. You can see that he is building his lores up here. Apparently he did not deem it good to build the lore to the bottom left of his base. I think a part of that was that he knew that Grubby was on the way back to his base and healing, so he didn't have to build it in a protected position. Now, I would assume there was room to place it to the left of his base. I don't think he would use that build order, or that base build, if he didn't have that capability. But I think it was more along the lines of, I know it's safe, so screw it. If that's not true, well, I don't really care. It's not a big enough of a deal. But you can see that Winters is obviously creeping out. He should have had a third hunt here, but when you've got a Demon Hunter and to keep the Grove, and you can just do damage and kill creeps off because you have a Tree of Life tanking. Now I believe he has eaten a tree. Yeah, he has eaten a tree, and he has one wisp repairing. It is extremely important. Just suck it up and repair with a wisp, okay? Yeah, you'll lose a little bit of golden lumber because you're repairing instead of eating trees all day, but the point is, it'll probably take so much damage that you won't full heal from eating a tree anyway, and the last thing you want is it to get Raider spiked and die. So just repair your tree, suck it up, be a man, and that's all I can say about that. Now Grubby, meanwhile, I don't believe he ever sniffed out the expansion, but I do believe he thinks that, okay, listen, I'm not going to get tier 2 pushed by Beastmaster Archers. I don't have to worry about that so much. But I'm going to expand simply because I think I can hide it. Really, this is both players trying to be cheeky and hiding expansions, and it turns out just to be an expansion war. Another thing is when you are against Huntresses, Raiders are so amazingly good. Raiders are amazing against Huntress Dryad kind of thing. You will completely dominate the early game. There's actually another reason why. So you have map control because you have Raiders against Hunts. It just makes it so easy to kill stuff. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is you basically have to get an expansion to beat Bear, because Bear is so efficient with Roar and the Orb of Venom and Rejuvenation that you need better numbers in order to win that matchup. Now, his opponent is simply going Mass Dryad as opposed to Bears, but the sort of point still stands. If you're against Hunter's Hall, you generally need to get an expansion to keep that alive. Now, thankfully, your opponent spends 210 gold building that Hunter's Hall, which kind of helps you in affording your expansion, but anyway, point remains, you have to be careful. So, here's the first battle, and you can see Link and Ensnare are vital to this. You can see that Link is keeping his units alive, very much so, and yeah, there's Entangle and Focus and whatever, but whenever he's able to Ensnare, he should be casting it, and there's the next Ensnare when it comes off cooldown, and he killed a Hunt, and now he killed a Dryad. And yeah, now he's out of Raiders, he can no longer entangle anything until another one comes up, and that's part of the price you pay for expanding. Yeah, he could have had another Raider, maybe another Walker instead of that Expo. However, It's not necessarily a huge deal. He is picking